All right. Getting ready for a rolling stock assembly inspector interview.
Yeah, it can be a tough one.
Think of this deep dive as your, personal prep session.
We're going to break down exactly what you need to know to nail it.
Exactly.
And we've got some really great resources to help you out today.
Yeah.
We've got some sample interview questions and even some career insights.
From RoleCatcher.
Right, RoleCatcher.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, it uses AI
Right.
to analyze those job descriptions that are out there, scores your resume.
And even gives you feedback.
Yeah.
On your practice answers.
It's like having a coach right there with you.
It really is. So before we jump into those questions, let's talk about what a rolling stock assembly inspector actually does.
Okay, so imagine you're responsible for making sure that every single part of a train, from the wheels to the doors, is assembled perfectly.
And you're using all these specialized tools to check for even the tiniest little flaws.
Yeah, because even a tiny error could have huge consequences.
Absolutely. So it's high stakes.
It is high stakes.
But it's also in high demand.
Yeah, it is. And RoleCatcher actually tells us that this career path offers really good pay, job security, and even opportunities for advancement.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also important to remember that the work can be pretty physically demanding.
Mm-hmm.
And you might be working in, noisy or kind of dirty environments sometimes.
Yeah.
But all right, let's jump into those interview questions. So one of the first ones you're likely to get is, how did you first become interested in this field?
Okay, now this might seem like a super easy question, but it's really your chance to show off your passion.
Right.
Avoid those generic answers.
Yeah, I've always been interested in trains.
Right. Share a story that shows your genuine interest. Maybe you were just fascinated with trains as a kid.
Or you took on a project.
Right.
That really kind of sparked your interest in mechanics.
And you know what? RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you tailor your answer.
Oh, really?
By analyzing the specific job description.
Oh, wow.
And identifying the keywords or the skills that employer is looking for.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you can make sure that your answer is relevant.
Right.
And highlights, those qualities that really matter for this particular role.
Exactly.
That's really, really cool. Okay. So let's move on to a question that's a little bit more technical. How do you ensure that all components are installed correctly during the assembly process?
Okay, so this is where you want to emphasize your attention to detail.
Right.
Mention that you're meticulous when you're doing an inspection.
Yeah.
Your use of checklists.
Yeah.
Reference materials.
Yeah.
And don't forget to mention those specific tools that you would use.
Like calipers.
Yeah, calipers, micrometers, torque wrenches.
Yeah.
Demonstrating your knowledge of these tools shows you understand how much precision is required for this job.
Absolutely. And I think this is where RoleCatcher can really come in handy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because their AI can analyze your answer and even suggest ways to make it even better.
Yeah, maybe you need to add a little more detail about specific inspection procedures or highlight your experience with certain tools.
Right. That's really helpful feedback, especially if you're not sure what level of detail the interviewer is looking for. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about safety, because this is huge in this field. What steps do you take to ensure that safety protocols are followed during the assembly process?
Okay, so safety is absolutely paramount in this role, so don't just list off protocol.
Right.
Instead, describe a time where you went above and beyond to ensure safety. Maybe you spotted a potential hazard and took steps to correct it. Or maybe you proactively trained a colleague on a new safety procedure. These types of examples show that you're not just following the rules.
Right. You're really promoting that safety-first culture.
Exactly. And, when you're practicing your answer with RoleCatcher's AI, pay attention to the feedback on your tone and delivery.
Yeah.
You want to come across as confident and knowledgeable about safety procedures, not hesitant or unsure.
Right. Okay, let's keep going. How do you ensure that deadlines are met during the assembly process?
All right, so this is where you need to demonstrate your time management skills and your ability to work under pressure.
Which is important in any job, really.
Right. So share your strategies for staying organized, prioritizing your tasks, using those time tracking tools, The key is to show that you can balance speed and accuracy without compromising safety.
Right. And RoleCatcher's AI, I imagine, can really come in handy here.
It can, yeah, because it can analyze your answer and suggest ways to kind of quantify your achievements.
Oh, okay.
Like maybe you could mention a time where you implemented a new process that improved efficiency, or maybe even helped your team meet a really tight deadline.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So numbers, data, that kind of thing can really,
Can really make your answer stand out.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so this is a scenario-based question.
Okay.
Have you ever had to troubleshoot a problem during the assembly process?
All right, so this is your chance to shine. Describe a specific challenge that you faced, the steps that you took to diagnose the problem, and then the solution that you implemented.
Yeah.
Highlight your critical thinking skills, your resourcefulness, and your ability to work, independently or even as part of a team to resolve those issues.
Right, and I know RoleCatcher's AI can also help you structure your answer using the STAR method.
Oh, yeah, the STAR method.
Situation, task, action, result.
It's a great framework.
Yeah.
For telling a compelling story that showcases your problem-solving ability.
Absolutely. Okay. How do you approach working as part of a team during the assembly process?
Okay, so teamwork is essential in this field. So go beyond the generic statements like, I'm a team player, Instead, share a specific example of a time when you collaborated really effectively with your team members, resolved conflicts,
right,
or even contributed to a shared goal. Focused on your communication skills, your ability to listen and respect different viewpoints, and your commitment to achieving the best outcome for the team.
And RoleCatcher's AI can help you here too, right?
It can. It can provide really valuable feedback on your answer. It can help you identify areas where you can add more detail, improve your clarity, and make sure that you're conveying the right message.
Yeah, that's really helpful. So we've covered some of the, I guess, most common questions you're likely to face. And we've highlighted how RoleCatcher's AI can really help you, tailor your answers and just improve your overall performance.
Yeah. Okay, so let's keep digging into how to ace that rolling stock assembly inspector interview.
Yeah, I mean, we've covered some really key questions already.
We have.
But I think there are a few more that RoleCatcher, pointed out that really get into your commitment to staying ahead in this field.
Yeah, that's a great point because the rail industry is always evolving, and employers want to see that you're really dedicated to constantly learning.
Right.
So think about this. How would you answer this question?
Okay.
How do you stay up to date with new developments and best practices in rolling stock assembly?
Okay, so this is where I think you really want to showcase that you're, a lifelong learner.
Exactly.
But don't just mention I read industry magazines, go deeper.
You got to go deeper. Talk about specific certifications like the American Welding Society, or AWS Certified Welding Inspector, or the ASNT Level 2 certification in ultrasonic testing.
Those are great examples.
Yeah.
I mean, these certifications, I imagine they're highly valued by employers.
They are.
Because it demonstrates that expertise.
Right. It shows you've taken the initiative to get that.
Yeah.
And don't forget about conferences.
And
workshops.
Yeah.
Those are fantastic opportunities to learn from, the experts and network with other professionals.
Right.
In the field.
Absolutely. Speaking of networking, RoleCatcher's, career guides, they also highlight the importance of joining professional organizations.
They do.
Like the American Public Transportation Association.
Yeah, APTA.
APTA, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, these organizations offer amazing resources, training programs and opportunities to connect with people who can, mentor you, help you advance in your career.
Absolutely.
So it's not just what, it's who you know and who you can learn from.
Exactly.
All right. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about career paths.
Yeah.
Because, RoleCatcher has some really fascinating insights here.
They do.
So their career guides actually lay out a roadmap.
Yeah.
From entry level to senior inspector.
Right.
And get this.
Yeah.
They even have advice for transitioning to related fields.
That's right.
So even if your long-term goals change, this role provides a solid foundation.
Absolutely.
It's you're building a skill set that's transferable across multiple industries.
That's right.
So let's imagine, the interviewer asks, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Right, okay.
how do we tie that back to those insights from RoleCatcher?
So you want to express your ambition,
Right.
but you also want to be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
You could say something like, well, I'm really excited about the potential for growth in this role, and I'm particularly interested in eventually, moving towards a team lead position.
Mm-hmm.
I saw on RoleCatcher that this company really values promoting from within.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I mean, it shows that you've done your homework,
Right.
you're ambitious, and you're thinking long term, but you're also acknowledging that you're here to learn and grow.
Right.
Now, remember those competency-based interview questions?
Oh, yeah.
That you were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
So these questions are designed to, like, assess your skills and abilities in specific areas by, asking for real-life examples.
Yeah, and they often start with, tell me about a time when... tell me about a time when you had to deal with a challenging colleague.
Right.
How did you handle the situation?
Yeah.
These can be a little tricky.
They can be.
But remember, you don't want to badmouth your former colleague.
Well,
frame it as a learning experience. You could say something like, we had different approaches to a task, and I took the initiative to have an open conversation.
Okay.
Listen to their perspective and find a compromise that benefited the whole team.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
It shows that you can communicate effectively.
Right.
Handle conflict professionally and prioritize team success.
Absolutely.
And I think RoleCatcher's AI can be really helpful here.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you can, practice your answers using that STAR method.
Right.
Situation, task, action, and result.
And RoleCatcher will analyze your response and offer suggestions for, making it more concise, more impactful, and really focused on the specific skills the interviewer is looking for.
It's like having a personal interview coach.
It is.
Right in your pocket.
Yeah.
Now, before we move on, I want to revisit those related career paths.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
That RoleCatcher highlights.
Right.
Because they point out some really exciting options.
They do.
That leverage, similar skills.
Right, like a rolling stock engine inspector or an aircraft engine inspector.
Wow.
Or even a motor vehicle engine inspector.
I mean...
Think about the possibilities.
Yeah.
It's
amazing.
It is.
That even if you decide down the road that you want to explore a different industry, your skills are highly transferable.
They are.
It's really reassuring to know that you're not limited to just one path.
Absolutely.
And RoleCatcher, I mean, it makes exploring those options so easy.
They do.
Because they provide insights into salary expectations, required certifications, and even the types of companies hiring for those roles.
That's right.
So, all right.
Yeah.
We've covered a ton of ground.
We have
a lot of the deep dive we've discussed, staying up to date, navigating career paths, and tackling those competency-based interview questions with confidence.
Yeah. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI is there to guide you every step of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the final part of our deep dive, we're going to wrap things up with some final nuggets of wisdom from RoleCatcher.
Okay.
And really explore how to make a lasting impression during your interview. Okay, so we're in the home stretch now of our deep dive into becoming a rolling stock assembly inspector.
Yeah, we've talked about the interview question.
Oh, very good stuff.
How RoleCatcher's AI can be your secret weapon.
Yeah, throughout this whole process.
Pretty much. And now we're going to shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
And focus on some final tips from RoleCatcher that can help you make a really lasting impression during your interview.
Because it's not just about answering questions correctly, right?
Right.
It's about showcasing those soft skills.
Yes.
And proving that you're, a well-rounded candidate.
Exactly. Employers are looking for, individuals who aren't just technically competent, but also possess strong communication, teamwork and problem-solving skills.
Right. So how do we highlight those skills effectively?
It's all about being prepared with specific examples.
Okay.
Instead of just saying, I'm a good communicator, think about a time when you had to explain a complex technical issue to somebody who didn't have a technical background. How did you break it down? How did you make it easy for them to understand? Yeah,
I like that. That shows that you can kind of adapt your communication style to different audiences.
Exactly.
What about teamwork? How can we demonstrate that we're, real team players.
So think about a situation where you had to collaborate with others to achieve a shared goal. Maybe you worked on a project with a tight deadline, or maybe you even had to resolve a conflict within your team.
Yeah.
And focus on, how you contributed to the team's success. Highlight your ability to listen, to compromise,
Right.
and work effectively with others.
Okay, good. And don't forget about problem solving.
Yes.
I know we talked about that, earlier, kind of in the context of technical challenges.
Right.
But how can we showcase our, problem solving skills,
Yeah.
in a broader sense?
So think about a time when you faced a challenge outside of your normal duties. Maybe a logistical issue, a scheduling conflict.
Yeah.
Or even a personal setback.
Right, okay.
How did you approach the problem? What steps did you take to find a solution?
Yeah.
Highlight your ability to think critically, to gather information.
Yeah.
And to come up with creative solutions.
Okay, these are all really great tips. So let's touch on something that RoleCatcher emphasizes throughout their career guides, which is the importance of continuous learning.
Yes.
And professional development.
Absolutely, because the rail industry, it's constantly evolving.
Right.
There are new technologies, best practices emerging all the time. Employers want to see that you're committed to staying ahead of the curve and investing in your professional growth.
So how can we demonstrate this commitment during the interview?
Mention your plans for ongoing learning.
Okay.
Are you pursuing additional certifications? Are you attending industry conferences or workshops? Are you a member of any professional organizations?
Right.
These are all great ways to show that you're dedicated to continuous improvement.
Yeah, and I think don't be afraid to talk about, maybe some of your personal interests, your hobbies, that kind of relate to the field.
Absolutely.
Maybe you tinker with electronics in your spare time, or maybe you're, really passionate about sustainable transportation.
Yeah, those are great examples. And these types of interests can really set you apart from other candidates.
Yeah, absolutely.
And demonstrate your genuine enthusiasm for the industry.
Right. Okay, so before we wrap up, I wanted to highlight one more super crucial tip from RoleCatcher.
Yeah.
Which is the importance of asking thoughtful questions.
Yes.
At the end of the interview.
Absolutely. Asking questions shows,
Yes.
that you're engaged, you're curious, you're genuinely interested in the role in the company.
Right, but what kind of questions, should we ask?
Avoid asking about salary or benefits.
Okay.
That's a conversation for later.
Right.
Instead, focus on questions that demonstrate your interest in the company's culture, their approach to safety, their commitment to innovation, or even their plans for the future.
Okay, so for example, you could ask about, opportunities for professional development.
Right.
Within the company, or you could, ask about their current projects
and
how your role would contribute to their overall goals.
Yeah, that's a good one. These types of questions show that you're thinking long term and that you're genuinely interested in becoming a valuable asset to the team.
Right. Exactly. So as we reach the end here, what are some key takeaways for our listeners?
So preparation is key. Research the company. Practice your answers. And use RoleCatcher's AI to refine your approach and get that valuable feedback.
Showcase those technical skills, but don't neglect those all-important soft skills. Highlight your communication, your teamwork, your problem-solving skills with specific examples.
Right. And demonstrate your commitment to continuous learning and professional development. Don't forget to ask those thoughtful questions at the end of the interview.
And most importantly, be yourself, be confident, and let that passion shine through.
The rail industry needs skilled and dedicated individuals like you. With the right preparation and a positive attitude, you can absolutely ace that rolling stock assembly inspector interview and, embark on a rewarding career in this really, really vital field. Good luck.
Good luck, everybody.